All right. Hi there. Today I'd like to touch or go in depth a little bit on the power of purpose, and it's often I know from the past it's kind of can be a vague concept to to many, and it makes sense because it's not something you really easily find or discover, and even once you do, it's not easy to always follow, and that has to do with conditioning, um, the world, what people around you tell you you should do, what the system tells you um, you should do, and um, this has so much um, implications and effects um, that we're getting into a time where, well, finding that purpose and living that purpose will and is um, more and more important. And that's why I'm here. And there are some things you really need to start considering, especially while this world is shifting. It's been always shifting, but in this case, um, shifting in a way that things are going to change. There are certain systems that are going to collapse, but mostly look around and what's going on in this world, and darkness is still covering the earth, and you know what would be next, and it's really time to start living different, but it starts with thinking different and getting our minds in a different state, um, and it all starts with ourselves, with you as well. Most and many people are so stuck in life and um, the system, the rat race, and there's so much control and manipulation and in there that you're not really living your own self, your own life, and it reflects in so many areas. But it's as well why there's so much, so-called abuse out there, the emotional, psychological, mental abuse, and it's gotten these beautiful labels such as narcissistic abuse, and I mean it's definitely out there, it's real, but it has everything to do with living in this world, living in this system that has been created and that has been followed, and it in a way served its purpose, but um, it really doesn't really serve humanity. It's not natural. We're living in an upside down world in which we um, are supposed to follow things, and again the system which is designed as well to control, but as well to follow, like like dreams that they go, or a word like happiness that just every time you think you get there just um, disappears, or like blows away like smoke, because it's not real. I mean, it's all about, you know, living in this system and then being able to buy things and being able to acquire more, or a house and a car and material stuff, and it's all short-lived moments of happiness, um, and relief, or pleasure that kind of makes up a little bit for the stress and the rat race that you're in, your work, the new targets, the yearly new um, targets that you will get in your work, the increase of prices, the keeping up with your payments, your mortgage, your loans, and all the stuff you need to keep up to be able to live in that society and to be able to be kind of happy or contented, and there's so much comparison, and we look to our neighbors and other people, and basically most are not naturally really happy. And it all makes sense, right? We're not even close to living as we should, or how we should connect to each other, and not even close to living our purpose. Some might, but for most it's really not the case. And the suffering needs to end, to start with. Secondly, there's a real shift happening. Again, systems will collapse, and to not get into a situation where you are forced to shift and change and be overwhelmed by it, it's so important to start. And to start recognizing this. And as well, if you're in a situation, whether that's in your work or in other situations or family systems, or a romantic relationship, or in a marriage, or any form of connection that's actually truly unhealthy, that's, for instance, call it toxic, and perhaps there's a lot of emotional, psychological, mental manipulation, abuse, could be narcissistic abuse, to really start looking at that as well. And then it's time to really start detaching, or do everything you need to do to detach. And it's a beautiful process, because it's eventually not just detaching from that, it's detaching from everything that you are that you are not, and to become everything that you actually are. And it's a beautiful journey that I've been on myself, and that started about 7 years ago. And there's so much to detach from first, to be able to get more to yourself, to go within. And there's quite some stuff that needs to be released. And once that's released, because the thing is, and it's really important to understand, is what keeps people stuck in life, and what keeps you stuck in life, is when you are unresolved and unexpressed, to begin with, emotions. Everything that's you hold within will eventually consume you, and will take your focus away from the actually things you want to attract in your life, things you want to be doing, the guidance you want to receive, the inspiration, the creativity you want to get flowing, and the divine guidance, the connection you will need to have with the universe to really feel and sense and open up to things like your purpose. But there are things that need to be shifting first if you're completely stuck within a extremely unhealthy situation, whether that's within family, a job, a boss, a relationship that's extremely toxic. You can be with someone, or be living with someone that's, label-wise high on the scale of narcissism. That's an incredibly tough position to be in. And again, when you're further down the line, and when you can see things, there are no excuses for nobody to treat you that way, because it's horrible, and I call it even evil. But it's part of how this world is constructed, and how we're supposed to be not living, that all that stuff as well exists. The abuse, the manipulation, the so-called narcissism, and I don't like the labels at all, and these constructs and concepts, but all that stuff will end and can end when we start connecting differently with ourselves first, and then as well with each other. But connecting with yourself first requires and means to look at the things in your life that are not conducive and not serving you. In most cases, when I see these people being stuck with as well this type of abuse, for instance, they remain stuck decades, sometimes a lifetime. They either remain in that situation, or relationship, because it's extremely hard to get up and out when you're drained and exhausted and emotionally just completely cut off, and you don't see your way out, and there's no guidance and support. And even when people get out of a situation or a certain toxic dynamic, they still remain stuck. And you can remain stuck in many phases, and there are many reasons for that, and you need to go through a few phases and take certain steps to really detach, and not just physically but emotionally and spiritually as well. And again, I go much deeper on that as well in my program, which you can join anytime, which is extremely accessible. You can even start just today, and I would highly recommend you to do that. There's no time to waste. It's your life. It's your health that's at stake. People really get ill. The stress and the impact on your nervous system and all the stuff that can follow from that autoimmune disease, and people really get sick and eventually leave this life because of it, but it's never really acknowledged or detected. I don't want to scare you with that part, but mostly you're supposed to be free, stay free, live free, be authentically you. And the world needs that, and everyone, to eventually get there and to go inwards, to really discover who you are, your strengths, your abilities, your skills. And basically you might already know, but following it, expressing it is next level, and there might be so many barriers and things that are holding you back. The system, the people around you, a highly toxic or abusive situation or relationship that is not serving you, obviously, and a million reasons to stay, the fear of the unknown. It's often you get dependent on it. You're dependent on a system that's highly manipulative and toxic as well, in essence. But in relationships, in your daily life with someone, it can completely erode you from any self-esteem, and well, your self-doubt just goes up and up, and the longer you're in, the harder it becomes to get out. And a trauma bond that develops, and all that stuff that you will need to be able to step out of, change is always hard for anyone in this life, even for people that are already or living a decent life without this kind of abuse. But when you're dealing with that stuff, it's unimaginably times harder to take that first step. You can't see your way out. There's a lot of brain fog, literally, when you're dealing with a highly psychologically, emotionally, or mentally abusive person in your life, or people, or even worse, if it's a family system. Your brain and parts of your brain literally change, and you get into a fight, a flight, a freeze, or a fawn response mode, and you develop things like CPTSD, and PTSD is something that people really develop after experiencing extreme trauma. For instance, someone that goes into war or missions like that. But with this type of abuse, you really develop the same and even more or worse, complex than that. That's why it's such a silent killer. That's why because it's so hidden, it's even worse, because people around you don't see. It's extremely hard to get out. And this post-traumatic stress disorder, even when you have left, can really be active for a long time if you don't work with it, if you don't recognize it. And it's not super complex to deal with it, but being able to see it and know what to do when it comes up, that's super important. I went through this whole process myself, trial and error. Perhaps another day there's more space for stories. It's it's not a path you need to take and should not take because it's really risky. But it gave me, or allowed me to experience this type of abuse from all angles, but as well experience all the effects of it by trying all different sorts of techniques and combining them, how to heal yourself, for instance, to calm down your nervous system and to deal with the symptoms of CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. All labels, but I figured it out on my own, and there's so much more release of these energetic cords, the trauma bond, and that needs to be shattered. Again, on my program, which is a really step-by-step, very digestible program that you can lean in and access anytime and any moment of the day. And that's really important, because what makes the difference between staying stuck for years or even a lifetime, or within a couple of weeks and months getting through and past it and start creating your authentic life, is ongoing guidance and support. Just a talk once a week is not enough. You go back into that situation in life, and you can't really make the progress you need to make, and you need a system of ongoing progress. And often it's very hard to find someone that has the right knowledge and can guide you in the right way to really get through and past this, and effectively, and yes, as fast as possible. The program I've designed, it's now ready for you to step in, is completely designed for that. So stay on track. It requires some commitment from you, at least 30 minutes a day is what I would be asking you to step into, to get the repetition in, to anchor things in, to go through the phases you need to go through, to be able to define decisions, to get the confirmations you need, everything to be able to move forward, detach, which is a complex thing to do, but everything is made very easy for you, and every session follows up on the next. It's very important to follow the steps in the right order, because skipping steps means not being able to detach, falling back, not being able to move forward. And there are many reasons and ways this can happen, and the awareness for that as well will become clear while you're in that program. And then taking them in the right order is crucial. If you skip steps or take them in the right order, you're not going to get where you want to go. It's the same as if you know your phone number by head, but if you dial it in the wrong order, you're not going to reach the person you want to reach. You're going to end up somewhere else. And in this case, we cannot have that happening. So again, that's something you can start today. It's super accessible. You can start with a free trial to just get a feel, start, and at least be able to start. And then there's, I want to make it as accessible as possible for anyone, anywhere in this world. And sometimes people are more committed with a high price, sometimes a low price, sometimes people expect everything to be free. That's as well not realistic. But I'm going to allow you to define according to what you can miss and what you want to put into it for yourself, and just sow a seed, and then you're free to go and go through this journey. Consider for it to be effective as it should, and go through the curriculum that's there. And if you follow the steps step by step and commit 30 minutes a day at least, and you can do more if you want without overwhelming yourself, of course. You need to consider at least 4 months, but it depends on your situation. If it takes a bit longer, hey, that's how it's supposed to be. It's a process, it's a vulnerable one, but you need to execute the steps properly and prepare as well practically, because everything is in there, because you're in a situation where you're dealing with this type of abuse that's very delicate and vulnerable. And in a way, if you take the wrong steps, there's a high risk of falling back, and eventually it becomes worse and worse and harder to get through and out as well. Many reasons for that, and you'll get more aware on this part in the program as well. As well, need to consider the abusive people around you, and once you take steps, sometimes it becomes worse. So everything you will be guided on and prepared for, from being able to really make decisions, being able to really detach physically, emotionally, spiritually, being able to heal. And then we're going to shift and fuel, use this as your fuel to really create that authentic life. And this is what it's all about. Along that way, after you've been able to release, you're going to be able to dig within. You're going to be able to open up to stuff that serves you, that you want to do. You're going to find that purpose, and you'll be able to start committing to it. And along the way, and along this journey, which will be a process of progress, of overcoming obstacles, going through barriers, reaching your potential, as well, uncomfortable action, but that's just growth, that's spiritual growth. And it's, eventually there's nothing that you will not be able to handle. You will be able to handle any situation if you get through this. Most of all, you're going to be really anchored and anchoring in who you are, with tools and the guidance. You're going to be able to navigate forward in a way that you align your actions with your values, and that's something else you can dig deeper in along the way. We're going to do that together, but as well overcoming limiting beliefs. But eventually you're going to get to that purpose, and again, we need that, and it starts here. It starts with you. Eventually, even the abusive people will probably follow, because somehow, somewhere, they got lost, or they are traumatized, or whatever it is. And in some cases, yes, there's evil in there. You've got to recognize that as well. But we've got to start here. You first, to get it through. And purpose. Once you live, you really discover and anchor in that purpose, and you start living it. You're going to start doing what you're passionate about, what your calling is, and that way you're going to be so focused on it. And eventually that means you're going to be giving back to others, and that's a moment of celebration. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be a huge, impressive one. Maybe you get into planting, and you're going to share that with others. Maybe you're going to get into baking, cooking. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's teaching. Maybe it's something that you're overcame, but you want to share with others on how to do that. Anything, big or small, it doesn't matter what it is. Everything will be necessary and needed in this world, in this shifting world. And for you as well, to be in your divine energy and connected, and surround yourself with the right people. Being connected with your purpose will make you such a shining light for this world and an example. And eventually we need all of this and everyone to start doing this. We're going to have to connect with each other in a different way as well. Now these days there's so much jealousy, there's so much envy, there's so much pulling back, pulling down. There's so much people that, because they don't have their purpose or are not inspired, they just sit around comparing themselves with others. If you are doing your work, doing the work, the inner work, you are growing and elevating, they rather pull you back, pull you down, because it makes them uncomfortable, because they're still at their level, often a bit depressed. It's easier to pull you down than to be inspired and start doing the work themselves. It's not always fun. It's actually hard to consistently work on yourself every single day. But once you start doing it, it becomes, you build the muscle, and it becomes a routine and a must. And you start noticing once you don't do it, you feel out of touch. But first, you really got to get into it. You're going to be able to release and detach from all this system worldly stuff, all the toxic dynamics you're dealing with and in right now. It could be any type of relationship as well, family system, a boss, a friend, any situation. And then being able to really detach, go within, being able to heal and release, and then really moving forward and in recognizing everything that you are, what you hold within, your skills, your abilities, and allow that to surface and do what you are supposed to be doing your calling. Once you start doing it, other people start doing it, and we have to start doing it. And this is how we eliminate all this jealousy and envy and all that stuff, pulling people back, and the gossip and this and that, all the toxic stuff, and what's so tiring. We can end all that suffering. That's the power of purpose. Because even when those people that now are miserable or depressed, that rather pull people down, are able to find their God-given talent. And you don't have to be a lawyer or a doctor or a pilot or anything that's now all seen as status and amazing. No, everyone in their unique giving talent is equally valuable. And again, systems are changing. There will be collapse. We'll have to connect differently with each other. So all this stuff, comparison, envy, jealousy, abuse, manipulation, control, pulling back, narcissism, will have to disappear, and that will have to change. And it will change if we start connecting differently with ourselves and finding purpose and making the uncomfortable steps to detach from everything that's not serving you. And you starting doing it, you're not only becoming the version and the person you've always meant to be and you should be, and that the universe, God, is calling you into, but you're as well going to shine light. You're going to as well pull others with you, and you're going to be an example. And eventually those that are so stuck, call it abusive, envious, jealous, depressed, they have no other option than to follow as well. But as well, once these people equally in anyone else with their skills, God-given talents, or just their purpose, their calling, whatever it is, even if it seems small, we're going to need it. We're going to need each other. We're going to need to connect differently with each other. We're going to be able to need to support each other in a different way. We got to be able to find security in each other. Now we're seeking it in the job or the government, where there is none security. I promise you that. And there's as well no freedom. But there will be collapse. I don't have the crystal ball. It will happen. We'll have to be connecting differently, supporting each other differently, shift from this individualism, especially what I see in the West, where people have so much, but sharing seems very hard thing. But it has to do with the rat race. It has to do with no space of mind, in the position of being giving from heart and caring, but needing to keep it all up, and that life and the mortgage and the cars and the buying and the jobs, and there's no space of really relating to others. Here in the Philippines, again, connection. People have nothing, and in many cases are extremely poor, but they are sharing. They lend a hand. People support each other. There is less depression. People don't need to go to psychiatrists or get onto medication. It's such a different way, and we need to get back into that. And we as well, I highly recommend to try to get your feet back more into nature. Go out into a forest, to the waters, whatever it is. We have this as well, due to the whole system and how everything is designed, that sometimes we ignore nature. But once you get into it, and I experience it here with people as well, when they come to this side of the world and they are in nature, that they're kind of almost surprised how good they are feeling. Most often when you're in your life and in all the distractions and everything that's created around you, it might feel or sound boring to go into nature. You rather go into a busy mall or buy stuff or in crowded spaces. But once you are in nature, you actually feel calm and peace. And it has to do with the fact that you are nature. It's where you're supposed to be, and it's where you, once you detach, and it's a beautiful thing and process, you will recognize you don't need any of all that stuff anymore. And you're going to be so connected and feel so whole by being out in nature and connecting with people around you in a different way. You don't need all that stuff. And community is such a powerful and valuable thing. We need to find security in that again, and we need to start connecting differently with ourselves. First, eliminate all the stuff that's not serving us, going through this journey, this process of really finding yourself and your purpose, and then you can give back and shine your light and be the most thriving, your highest vibration that it's possible, your authentic self, which is the highest vibration. And then, well, ripple it outwards, and the rest will follow. And well, to all those that might recognize that they're stuck or depressed or perhaps pulling people down, wake up, and you're valuable as well. But you gotta do the work. You gotta go inwards. You gotta work on yourself. Insecurities, whatever there, you gotta get through that or past that. Find counseling. Find good people around you. Look at others that are growing and elevating. What are they doing? And be inspired and ask them and ask for help. That's the way to go. And get back into nature, even if that's hard in your surroundings. Anything, going out, walk in the park, finding moments alone to connect with yourself. And remember, you are nature, and we will be depending more and more on it anyway in the future. Again, it's a shifting world. There will be collapse. Mostly we have a beautiful push and opportunity because of it to get back to what we really are. And yes, that means as well nature, and as well connecting in a different way with ourselves and then each other, finding community. And that's where the security really is. And we're going to need each other. We're going to have to include and value everyone for their own skills, abilities, whatever it is. We're going to need it, and we're going to have to support each other in different ways as well, in terms of security, accommodation, food, sharing, livelihood. How it all will evolve, we'll have to see about that, but it will have to happen, and the shift will be necessary. Start today. There's a link in the bio, in the description. You can lean in and start your journey. I highly recommend it to do so. Sooner the better. Don't wait for things to happen and then being overwhelmed that you're forced to. And in any way, you have no time to waste, to lose, especially if you're stuck. If you're stuck in a highly manipulative, toxic, abusive, highly psychological, emotional, mental abusive situations, whether that's partner, family, situation in work, whatever it is, you gotta be able to work that through. This is what the program is well designed for, and it's a path, it's a journey as well designed to get there, to get through and past it as fast as possible. Not by rushing it, but it will potentially save you years, if not decades, if not your life. And to get really through and past it, even if you are detaching or trying already, but you're still stuck, and you can already be doing this for years, still not really being able to open up, there are probably some steps and things you skipped, and it's perfectly normal. It's a delicate and vulnerable process. Lean in today, especially as well. It's designed to really not only get past this, but to start creating that authentic life, living your authentic self, allow everything you are to surface, to allow that. Regardless of what other people think, follow that, and you'll discover your purpose, and the rest will come into your life as well. Real connection, real love, but mostly living authentically according to who you are, your loving part, your caring part, your angry part, and your wise part, your, well, warrior part, all those parts within that need to surface. Everything you hold within needs to be expressed and come out. Otherwise, it will just consume you. And it's time that you get up there. It's time to elevate. It's time to shift. And as well, along the way, with every accomplishment, step, a little celebration. And once you start being able to give back to people, that's the biggest and, well, amazing feeling there is. And this is where we need to be heading. Lean in, step in. I hope this helps already. And I hope you continue and start your journey today. All right, let's go.